and we're in. Look at my library, my luscious library, and the outside nature. It's like I'm in Los Angeles, California, but had to go the virtual, change it up from the old one. Just wanted to go library. I seen some good libraries, and I was looking at another streaming platform called God. It was really nice. I really liked it. God, what was it called? I was there a couple of days ago, and just I like the way it is, and it was just awesome. So came back here and said, "Can I get one?" It's not like it, but this is cool. I do like the window in the back and the library fashioned in the front, right? I do dig that. I'm looking at my phone because I just went live before I came here, inviting people to tomorrow. This is the 17th. This is St. Patrick's Day for all you Irish, which I have a bloodline connection to. Um, so I got on my slow cooker, I got my corned beef cooking in here, and in a little while I'm going to add the veggies and everything else to it, and the cabbage and the veggies will be added in with it. So we're gonna go all full Irish today. And my Scottish side don't get it mad because the Irish day, because my Scottish side is is still there too, because I got both sides of that along with I mentioned before. And so I'm just checking here because I'm finalizing this um, as going live and recording it, because last time I didn't do it, and then it just kind of was a mess because I didn't put the name of it. But what I did just do on TikTok, as I went TikTok live, was what I did was invite everybody to, because this is the 17th as I'm recording. This will not be released right away. This will be part three of a series. Part one will be released 10:15 tomorrow morning, Western. That's Pacific Coast time. 1:15 if you're out in the East Coast, and it will be released on the Secret Book of John. It'll be released tomorrow. The next day, the 19th, will be part two of the Secret Book of John, and then usually I would take that'd be 18th, the 20th, and 21st on, and this one I'm doing today would be the 22nd to be, because this is part three, because I've tried to get it into camp. This is very powerful, and as you will see on one and two, which will be released, as I was reading and going through this book, I just was the spirit of what the Bible calls revelation, or gnosis, kicked in, and I was seeing things like I didn't see, and putting them together, and so part three is really, I mean, if there's a part four, I will do it, because I wouldn't be surprised as I looked at the format of what's still left. I think I can get it in three and four, but then even if I do, I may do something in between them to kind of break the monotony of what we're doing. I might bring something more just to. I'm just really enthralled with these Gnostic books, how much different they are from the canonized version of Christianity, of course, which we know, in the canonized version, how there's actually that spirit of revelation or Gnostic aspects in it. There is. But how different in depth these ones are, being fully, you know, part. Because many of you have seen the Book of Mary I did, and in the depth of Mary. Mary's not like what we've been taught she was. She was very, very enlightened and very much connected in that book. And then we did 25 scriptures over the book of Thomas. And I can go back to that too and start with scripture 26, because there's 114 proclamations of the scriptures, we're calling them, of these scriptures. And we've only did 25. There are 114 quotes in the book from, given that Jesus quoted this. This is his 114 statements or scriptures he quoted in this. So let me see. I think I finished up with this, which means I can share the page as soon as this is it. We'll get into share page, and definitely um, we can do that. So I'm starting it there. Um, but anyways, So let's share this page and get started. Sorry about that. I won't do this every time, but I'm starting to. You're seeing as many of my folks notice that I started posting more shorts in YouTube, and I'm doing more in TikTok with shorts and everyday things. Um, yeah. So, ooh, let me go out of this. This is not what I wanted to do. I wanted to bring it a little differently. I wanted to put another. I found out I could be a little different around here and use different angles, and I really like this one. And yes, minimize this one in the corner so we don't see it. And as we start today, I'm going to pull this a little bit closer to me. As we start today, we had left off talking about the different names, and through the process we seen everything from the higher realms to the lower realms to Sophia's creation out of ignorance, because she had descended into her ignorance. And remember, this is dealing with duality, because Sophia, which is the feminine part of Christ, Jesus in the story, descended from the pleroma, but when she descended, she had a thought, and we went, through the past. What thought was, and forethought was connected to Barello, and that aspect of it. And Sophia came forth, but she descended and had a thought, and she created without the connection of the higher realms, and she created, which was a mistake, which we would call the Yada-Baoth, right? We talked about that Yada-Baoth, who was connected to the material world. And he had made statements like, I'm a jealous God, there's no other gods besides me. Or even it said in the scriptures, then why are you worried if there's nobody besides you? Why are you jealous if you're the only one? Which makes you realize, and in the story as we went forth, we realized this is a lower realm. He's called ignorance, mindless, no wisdom, um, and with no wisdom, he thinks he's the only one and doesn't understand there's a whole greater realms above him that actually have dominion over him, that are above him. But he's just trying to, and he's one that creates good and evil for his own purpose, that contradicts himself, has no wisdom, and on and on and on. Many of the Gnostics feel this would be the Old Testament, because many of his quotes are the Old Testament quotes that we see of the Old Testament. Thou shalt not, but go kill them all. Eat your children, don't leave anybody alive, but thou shalt not. All the contradictions we start really waking up and seeing, and especially with the Old Testament. So really what we start seeing is this. So let's get into it, because we do need to read. And this is when humanity begins. This is the humanity begins. Then came a voice from the highest realm saying, the man exists, the son of man. Yada-Baoth, the chief ruler, right, is the one we just got through talking about. He heard it. He thought it came from his mother Sophia, if you remember from part 1 and part 2. He thought it came from his mother, and he did not know the true source of the voice, because he wasn't aware of the higher power and the real, genuine in the story, God of light and love, the connection of light, the higher realms of the pleroma, which is really not like a one place like we were taught in regular Christian heaven and hell, and there's one places. It would be the dimensional or distances aspect of different realms of God into the highest realm, which would be the monad, the Father, the monad, where nothingness is everything, right? The monad. He did not know the source. And remember, he was ignorant. He does realize who his mother is. He stole some of her power, but he doesn't have any of the wisdom, because he's a child of ignorance. And remember, I said duality. Sophia actually means wisdom, but also in a dualistic plane, wisdom's opposite in the plane would be what? Think about it. In duality, it would be ignorance. He's the ignorance. And the image of the invisible, the Father of everything, in whom everything has come to be, the first man. This is the one who appeared to them. He appeared in the form of a human being, and all the realm of the chief rulers quaked. The foundation of the abyss moved. The lower realms moved, the abyss. He illuminated the waters above the world and matter. His image shone in these waters. All the demons, first ruler, together gazed up toward the underside of the newly shining waters, thought that the light they saw in the image in the waters. Yalobea said to his subordinate demons, let's create a man according to the image of God in our likeness, so that the image would illuminate us. So they're looking for light because they're lacking light. They're just darkness. They're like the shadow of the above realms and to the lower realms of what we would call um, the lower aspects of this. And so when I see this, I'm looking at this and going, wow, this is like as we talk about a lot in alchemy, emanations, fractals of the all. Fractals. We're all fractals of all. Each one through power created aspects of the man. Each had a characteristic responding to the psychic factors they had seen in the image above them. They made a creature of substance, his likeness that of a perfect man, and they said, let us call him Adam, so that his name will be given to us, the power of light. The seven powers begin to work. Goodness made a psyche of a bone. Providence made a psyche of a chenoo. Divinity made a psyche of flesh. And I know you guys can see this because I went and changed, because I noticed that some of the videos I was sharing is I'm trying to get better. I am getting better. This is not trying. And I noticed this last two videos, I kind of figured out, I looked it up, went into settings and made this more visible so you guys can read. And I noticed that as I put this out and checked it, the ones that will be coming out, part one of this and part two, that you guys will be able to see it very excellent on your TV screens or phones. And the kingdom of psyche. Zeal made psyche of skin. Understanding made a psyche of this. The host of demons took these substances from the powers to create the limbs and body itself. So the other aspects were all, you could say, spiritual, the psyche. It was all connected to the psyche or the mind. But now we are putting it together and coordinating them into this. The first ones by making the head. Abram created his head. Megatroth created the brain, and I may slaughter some of these words. Aster Chimmy, the right eye. And you guys go ahead and read it. I'm not going to read all this as we're going to go down. And those who appointed all over, these are Zaoth, Armas, Kalila, Libel, Saboth, Cain, and Abel. All of them. The emerging powers in the limbs were divided among the head by so and so, and you guys can read that yourselves. Put me on pause when you get this. If you watch it live, you may not be able to, but actually you can. You can be a little bit behind. You can see that the Gentiles, all in all, have names of them who are putting together the physical body, the material world. Seven govern the whole body. Michael, Uriel, Asmodeus, Saphasato, Armorium, Rikaram, and Ameropes, ones who govern perceptions. Receptions, there's their name to the right, governs imagination, governs in integration. So Ak Iram governs integration, okay? One who governs impulse. They're the fourfold source of the bodily demons: cold, water. Watch it: hot, cold, dry, and wet. Hot, cold, dry, and wet. Notice those. Hot and dry would be one aspect of duality, cold and wet the other. Matter is the mother of them all, the ruler of hot. And there's a name, Phylloxophy, ruler of cold. Ororathos, ruler of dry. Macho, and ruler of wet. Arthurol. The mother stands among them. You can read that name. I'm not going to hatch that one. You can look at it. She is unlimited. She mixes with all of them. She is matter. She's mother. They are nourished by her. The four chief demons are associated with pleasure, with desire, associated with distress, associated with fear. The mother is on and on. These are the beginning of the human being physically. You remember but the other aspect came from the light above. This is where you're going to see Autobath's going to realize that he didn't create the eminence of what the spiritual aspect of was these beings. He's ignorant of that. He's just really a material God. He's like even if you go into it, even with Yahweh and some of the aspects of Yahweh that many Gnostics see, and it's quoted in the earlier scriptures in part 1 and part 2, are same things that you would see in the New Testament. It's the exact same scriptures of the Old Testament. Demons of compassion, envy, jealousy, strife, grief. And remember, he's a jealous God, and there's demons over that: cruelty, worry, mourning. From pleasure come evil. From pleasure comes evil, pride, and so forth. From desire comes anger, fury, bitterness, outrage, dissatisfaction, and so forth. From fear, horror, flattery, suffering, and shame. So you can see this physical realm is connected to, right? And this is a total number of 365. Remember, we're having 365 days and 360 degrees, not 65, but 365 days. They work together to complete part by part physical and material world, our body. These are the connection in the story is Yado-Baal, the lower, calling him God, but thinking he's the only one, is really just a material body one, the one who good and evil for his own purpose. There are even more of them in charge of passions that I did not tell you about. If you want to know about them, you'll find them in the book of Zoroaster. A lot of this connected, even through Christianity, is connected to Zoroasterism. All of Yado-Baal's servants and demons work to finish the psychic body. For every time it lay inanimate, it did not move. Yado-Baal's mother wanted to take back the power she had turned over to the chief ruler. She earnestly asked the merciful father of everything for help. Yado-Baal deceived. This is where you're going to really see the deception of Yado-Baal in the recognition of who he is, not recognizing that which was above him because he was created in ignorance, even called mindless. You would see inside in part 1 and part 2, right? Mindless. Let me just look and see what time it is. I got some stuff on the stove here, so but we're not rushed. We're nowhere near. So in the sacred command, he went down to the 5 lights in the forms of principal advisors. Yado-Baal led to the removal of Yado-Baal's mother, divine power, from him. They told Yado-Baal, blow some of your spirit in the man's face, then his body will rise up. Yado-Baal blew some of the spirit into the man, and the spirit was the divine power of his mother, not himself. So that this would be the divine power would be from the higher realms, because this would be his mother, and his mother is definitely wisdom. She's Sophia. It's not from him. It's that which was from the higher realms. He was ignorant of his mother. He did not know his mother's order. The mother fell from her order, and as you've seen in the very first book, that she went to get restored to her order for her mistake she had made creating Yado-Baal. The power of the mother. He didn't understand what was happening, for he lived in ignorance. His mother, divine power, left Yado-Baal, entered into the psychic human body modeled on the primordial image. The human body moved, it grew powerful, and shined. Yado-Baal's demon forces envied the man, and this is really where the jealousy comes of, I'm going to say this, not knowing the higher consorts of how that really works in the higher realms. But the jealousy of he's the only God is really a lot about you and me, because you aren't ye gods. And if you remember, even that which you would know even of the New Testament, there are scriptures that are very Gnostic in Revelation, where Jesus tells them, you're of your father, the devil. Who was he talking to? He was always talking to a religious sect, and especially a certain religious sect. And I think you know what I mean, those who listen here. He was not hard on anybody who wasn't religious. He was hard on the Pharisees, Sadducees, judges, and tax collectors, and the religious bunch, I call them, which we know are Pharisees and Sadducees. They envied him. The demon forces envied the man. Through their untied efforts had come into being, they had given their power to him. His understanding was far greater than those who created him, and greater than that of the chief ruler himself. it just reminds me how so much in this world of the system that we're held back to not know and stay in a dualistic, forgetful amnesia plane, and we don't know who we are, really goes with this, because you have so much more than they do of who you are and what you really have in the light shown from the higher realms within us. This goes to me with what we see even now. And this book, we're talking 2,000 years ago, 1,700 years ago, 2,000 years ago, maybe even more, that this was still going and recognizing them by people who were writing. Even the chief ruler, I mean, Jado himself realized he did not have the light because the mother Sophia had breathed the breath of life in him from the higher realms that he was ignorant of, because he was the lower realm. He stole her power, but he did not invest the power into himself. He invested it into the lower realms of the material realm because he's invested as a materialist. Just to be honest, everything is material, 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 matter, 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 physical, physical. Very powerful. They're created a chief ruler of himself. When they realized that he shone the light and could not think better than they could and was naked of evil, they took him and cast him down into the lower depths of the material world, the lower part, the beginning of salvation. The blessed one, the mother, father, the good, merciful one, looked passionately upon the mother's power relinquished by the chief ruler. Since Yadobea's demons might again overpower the perceptible psychic body, he sent down from the good spirit or helper from Adam. Out of the great compassion, a light-filled epinoia emerged, and he called her Live Zoe. She adds entire creation. She aids in the entire creation, working with him, restoring him to the fullness. She taught Adam about the ways of people, and descended, and she taught about the ways that he could ascend. Notice that she taught him about the way people had descended, and she taught him a way that he could ascend, which we would say even as would be alchemy, which is the way of ascension, or he ascended. The light-filled epinoia was hidden in Adam. This would be you and I, that the demiurge, or that God, Jesus even said, you are the God of this world. These are the canonized. You are the God of this world. Is your God. This is what it's talking about in the Gnostic things. And this is what's happened with religion. We are praising that which really was not to be praised, Yadobeoth, and people are giving that credit for being God. So you see the turmoil, the division, the lack of knowledge, the ignorance, murders and murders and murders and rumors of wars. It's always continuing. It's connected in the story to Yadobeoth being the one lifted up. I dare you guys to do it, and I may do it and just bring it out, because that's what I do. When you go look up the history of that one, Weya, right, and you look it up and you'll go, oh, he's a desert god. He's a war desert god. That's really what he was. He wasn't the supreme. No, he wasn't. He was made supreme out of a religion. It comes from Canaanites. Remember, that's the land that they went and inherited, or God gave to them, that they had to go to war and take from. Sound familiar? One more time, sound familiar? Which was really not monotheistic at all. As we know, we go into the Elohim and say God created, and it's multiple ones. It's not one. Anybody that makes excuses and tries to frame in the story and make it, the monotheistic, I mean, really, quit playing yourself, because it really begins to be Puttsville at its finest, or at its lowest, into the lowest parts of the depth of the fall of descension. So when you really start looking at this, Adam was revealed because with him, that Adam actually was able to ascend and descended, right? The light-filled epinoia was hidden in Adam so that the rulers wouldn't know her. So she was actually mystified. She was the mist. They were actually operating in a mystic realm, because mystic realm is kind of like the mist. If the mist is around, you don't see it clearly. You remember that there's times Jesus would get lost when the Roman soldiers in the canonized versions of the Gospels, he would have said, and he got lost in the midst of them. And we think it's M-I-T-S, M-I-D-T-S-T. He's talking about he got lost in the mystery, the mystics, the mist. It's not a literal talk, it's a spiritual talk. That he got lost in the mist. They couldn't see through the mist because they didn't know the secrets of the mystery. This is what's happening here. Similar, very similar. She was hid from them. She was in the mist. She was a mystic, mystery, because mystery and mist is the same thing. Until you break through the mystery and demystify it, you don't see clearly, right? Adam revealed because within him dwelt the shadow of light. His mental abilities are far greater than those of his creator, Shadow Baal, and all the demons, and they gazed up when they exalted mental capability. Most of the rulers and demons plotted together. They mixed fire and water and earth and water together with four blazing winds. They melded them together in a great turbulence. Adam was brought into the shadow of death. Remember the description in the Old Testament, into even though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, right? They intended to make him anew this time from earth, water, fire, and wind, which are matter, darkness, desire, the artificial spirit. Ooh, this all became a tomb, a kind of new body. It really reminds me of when, and I think it's Genesis 1 when it talks about he made man and woman, made he them. And then all of a sudden we go to chapter 2, he's making a new body and he's taking the woman out of the rib. But when we go to chapter 1, I always, when I was revelating, I go, this sounds like two creations. It matches this. It matches this. You're looking at a physical from one aspect to the truth, this, which would be the artificial spirit or body, right? Those thieves bound him, enchained him in forgetfulness. There's your amnesia I keep talking about, that the alchemy's always talking about, the forgetfulness, made him subject to dying. He was first descent and the first separation, yet the light-filled epinoia within him will elevate his thinking. Adam and Yadobaal's paradise. The rulers took this man and put him in a paradise. They told him to eat freely, right? The food is bitter, their beauty is corrupt, the food is deceit, their trees are ungodliness, their fruit is poison, their promise is death. They placed a tree of life in the middle of paradise. I will teach you, plural, the secret of life. The plan that they made together an artificial spirit. Now, what do we see now coming together? Artificial intelligence, like I keep talking about, the artificial ones. That which is not organic is really the discernment that we must have. What's not organic, right? Will teach you the plural secret of life, artificial. Root is bitter, branches are dead, the shadow is hatred, the leaves are deception, the nectar of the wickedness and the blossoms. The fruit is death, its seed is darkness, the flowers in the darkness. Those who eat it are denizens of hell, denizens of Hades, darkness in their resting place. For this tree called the knowledge of good and evil, it is the epinoia of life. They commanded them not to eat of it. This is where you really get into some stuff controversial, not to me, but at the time of dealing with this, when we go 17, let's go back 1800 years, when you have one group that wants to create this thing as an epic church and men, powers that be, let's just be honest, and them who were teaching a spiritual realm, the Gnostics. And we were told not to eat of it, but they're telling you, no, the tree of knowledge and good and evil was the thing you needed to eat of, which makes total sense to me because it's the knowledge of both good and evil, meaning the knowledge of life is the knowledge of good and evil, meaning take of it and you'll be able to discern that which is and that which is the artificial side of it. This totally, for me, I see it. 110, revelating. I love this stuff. For me, I really love this. They commanded him not to eat from it, standing in front to conceal it, for fear they might look upwards in the fullness and know the nakedness in his indecency. However, I caused them to eat, and I asked the Savior, Lord, isn't this the spirit that caused Adam to eat? He smiled and replied, the serpent caused them to eat in order to produce the wickedness of desire to reproduce that would make Adam helpful to him. The chief ruler Yadobeo knew that because the light-filled epinoia with Adam made his mental abilities greater than his own, Adam had been disobedient to the artificial truth. Come on now. In order to recover the power, he put it into Adam. Yadobeth made Adam completely forgetful. So the reality, the aspect of your continuation of eating this fruit would wake you up again through the epinoia, or the fullness is still within you. That light, that spark, that epinoia, the mysteries, the mist of this feminine aspect, the awakening of it is there. But he was like, all I can give him is some forgetfulness in this material world. I got to get him lower, lower, forgetful, which we call amnesia. You hear me use the word amnesia, forgetfulness all the time. Yeah, this is really what it's telling. It's really what I see in this. See, this is the next part. The woman comes into being. The light filled epinoia. Let me read it before that. He replied, was it what Moses wrote in the book? He calls Adam to fall into a deep sleep. Rather, Adam's perceptions were veiled and he became unconscious. Whoa. Remember, this is Yahweh. And if you remember, who did Moses meet in the desert, in the burning bush? That would not consume? Yahweh. What happens when you have a burning bush that doesn't consume? Means you are a fire, desert, war god, fire, Mars, right? All that's connected. And you lack the feminine aspect of water, which would be balance. Makes total sense to me. I see it. Now the woman comes into the being, the water. The light-filled epinoia hit him deep within Adam. Remember, deep would go back into water. The chief ruler tried to remove her from his ribcage, but epinoia cannot be captured. Although the darkness pursued it, it did not catch her. The chief ruler did remove a portion of his power from Adam to create a person with a woman's form, modeled on the light-filled epinoia that had been manifested in him. He placed the power, removed it from the man into the woman. And it did not happen the way Moses said it did. He took a rib from the woman, right? From made woman. Adam saw the woman standing next to him. The light-filled epinoia immediately appeared to him. She raised up the veil that dulled his mind. He sobered from the darkness of drunkenness, and he recognized his own counterpart. He said, this is the bone of my bone and the flesh of my flesh, because of the man will leave the mother and father and join to a woman, those who will become one flesh, for they shall send his helper to him. Sophia, our sister, came down descending innocently, as she, and Sophia represents descending from the higher realms, right? This is the one that created Yaldabaoth and went through the process of going through the process of regeneration because the mistake she made. And now she's descending, and Sophia means, the word Sophia means wisdom. So wisdom is our sister feminine descending innocently. So it has it to regain that which she had lost, right? Therefore, she was called life, the mother of the living. This is the one, the providence of authority of heaven. By her assistance, people can achieve perfect knowledge. Appeared as an eagle perched on the tree of knowledge, which is the epinoia from the providence of light, in order to teach them and raise them up from sleep's depths. How many of us we woke up from sleeps to come into what we've came into? Those on my channel that are there all the time, that are knowers, that have been using this. Your revelation is the gnosis that they talked about, having the gnosis within you, the revealer within you. That's why when you go into this book of the Gnostics books, Jesus doesn't come to take away your sin and redeem you because you're some lost, poor, pitiful me, pathetic sinner. It's to wake you up to who you really are, a revealer, really not a savior, a revealer, that you are like me. I'm a revealer. You are the connection. And this would go with Sophia. Sophia is actually the feminine aspect of Jesus in the Gnostic story. From the sleep's death, for the two of them were fallen and aware of their nakedness. Epinoia appeared as a being full of light. She enlightened their minds. When Yadobea discovered they had moved away from him, he cursed the earth. He realized he's losing power and that he really thought he was a god, but still in his ignorance, he thinks he is. But he really got outwitted, outclassed because he doesn't have the higher understanding. He cursed the earth. He located the woman as she's preparing for herself for her man. He gave the woman over so the man might be her master. Wow, because she had not known the secret of the divine strategy. He had not known the secret of the divine strategy. This really is a flip on what we see with in the world and what we were taught, and why we see the feminine principles spiritually in that just pushed down and shoved down. When we know, when we wake up, that it's the spiritual principle. It brings the creation. It brings that men's aspect is more order. That's why it will tend to go more logical, even in the higher realms of logic and intuition, spiritual women, intuition. That which, where did you get the knowledge from? Man's more the mathematician or logic, right? He cursed the nakedness. Yahweh discovered, she moved away. He located the woman, her divine strategy, because he did not know the divine strategy of the higher realms. The man and the woman were terrified to renounce Yahweh, who showed the ignorance of his angels and cast both of them from paradise, dressing them into heavy darkness. Chief Archon saw that the young woman was standing by Adam and realized that the light-filled epinoe of life was within her. Yahweh became completely ignorant, meaning he's falling into a deeper darkness himself. When the providence all saw that what was going to happen, she sent assistants to remove the divine life from Eve. Yahweh, wow, raped her. She bore two sons. Elohim was the first. Wow. Yahweh was the second. Wow. I had not remembered this. This blows my mind. Let me see what time it is. I know we're getting a little bit later. Let's go a few more minutes and we'll call it that. Um, Elohim was the name of the first. Yahweh was the name of the second. Elohim bared his face. Yahweh his cat's face, a bear's face. Cat. One is righteous, one is not. Yahweh is righteous. Elohim is not. Yahweh would command fire and wind. Elohim would command water. Yahweh the seventhly called the named Cain and Abel. From until now, the sexual intercourse would persisted thanks to the chief ruler, who put desire for reproduction in the woman accompanies Adam through intercourse. The ruler caused new human bodies to be produced, and he blew the artificial spirit into each of them. Yahweh installed two with authority over natural elements so they can rule over the tomb. Death, right? And the children of Seth. I don't know if we should go much because it's, well, let's go into, is this the end of the book? It might be. Oh no, it's not. No, it's not. We'll finish this right here. We'll go into what we were talking about more too. So the children of Seth, and then we'll stop. And then we'll go in the 6 questions on another one. We will continue. I think we can get this done in 4. Adam had intercourse with the image of the foreknowledge. Remember the foreknowledge. The foreknowledge, remember, was in the book 1 and 2. The first eminent that came off the monad was Bella. God, what was it? Bella. I can't remember the whole name now. I just remember, wasn't it Belarus? Not, no, it's not. It's I hate that. But Adam had intercourse with the image of foreknowledge, knowledge and foreknowledge, prognosis, and begot a son like the Son of Man, and he called that son Seth, modeling him on the heavenly race in the higher realms. The same way the mother went down into the spirit in the image of herself, the model of the fuller higher realm in order to prepare a place for the descendants of the realm. The chief ruler through forced the humans to drink from the waters of forgetfulness, which we talked about, wow, so they might not know their true place of origin. The children of Seth remained in a condition for a while in order that when the spirit descends from the holy realms, the spirit can raise up the children and heal them from all the defects and thus restore the complete to the fullness of God. And fullness, again, is the pleroma, the very higher realms. Wow. Let's go ahead and go out of this. So what I know with that too is I had shared on the video, I believe on number 2, there was the Valentinians and the Scythians. Scythians or Seth. we know where the Valentinians completely started, but there's really no where the Sethians completely originated from. Many feel it's from the story of the Sethian. Seth is the Sethians, that promised seed that would come from the higher realms for the restoring, which we see is would be the Christ, right? Connected though to even the two the connected to the plural from the pleroma, Belarus. God, I hate when I forget that. Sophia, though it's definitely Sophia who we seen come in for the restoration, and then what was it, the also that before that they came, and that feminine aspect came for the restoration even before her, and they seen the standing next to him. They could not get it away from, because when they tried to find it, that feminine aspect, it was from a higher realms, and they couldn't see it because of the mist. Mist is because it's a mystery. Why it's a mystery. And when you start defying the mystery, like I said earlier, when Jesus got lost in the mist, when they try to apprehend him, when he says, "It's not my time," Jesus got lost in the mist at the village, or whatever, in the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, it really means he got lost in the mystery again. They didn't know where to look. They don't know the mystery. This goes with it. That's why you would see some of even the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, especially Paul's writings, very Gnostic. Paul's talking about it's within you. Christ came before the foundations of the world. All this stuff that you can see Paul, especially them who came out of Christianity, and God came to that point I did, where Paul was like the revelation guy, where you go, oh my God, Paul's writing's not like the rest, because I'm revelating out. The gnosis is, see, it's deeper. It's much, much, much deeper. Wow, this was part three. Um, I'm blown away. I really like it. At least one, two, and three. I'm just getting more and more. Reminds me of the days just revelating like mad by reading stuff, and I just really appreciate this. And we will have a four, because we'll take over from the six questions. All right, I got to get to my Irish corned beef and cabbage, and get put in the veggies and the cabbage. So you guys have a great day.